Hello and welcome to another episode of The Classical Republican. Today we are talking about the importance of education in classical Republican theory and practice. First, we will talk about theory. Aristotle wrote in his Politics about the need for citizens of a republic to be educated to cultivate civic virtue. Your skills must be used for yourself and for others. Education ultimately benefits the common good. We don't talk about the common good in our modern political discourse, but that doesn't mean there is no common good. Remember, Aristotle believed that citizens need to be ready to rule and be ruled in turn. Citizens need to be prepared to speak in public, persuade their peers, and understand the logical outcome of the legislation proposed in the assembly or council. Now let's leap forward in time about 1900 years to James Harrington in the 1600s. In his Commonwealth of Oceania, he argues that the state should fund schools for all the children of the Republic at state expense. The purpose doesn't seem to be purely political, but economic too. An educated young citizen would be an asset to themselves and to the state. So he calls for free common schools for all from age 9 to 15. That is the history of classical Republican theory and education. Now let's talk about the actual practice starting in ancient Sparta. At age 7, boys were given over to the state-run schools to be trained to sing, dance, and later in the art of war. That was what was important to them. Girls were also educated. They took this very seriously, and we don't see any other republic taking things that seriously until modern times. What we see in other ancient and medieval republics is that the responsibility of educating children is removed from the state and put on the parents. We don't see standard forms of education outside of the various forms of the Trivium until we get to the Republic of Venice, and you get an innovation in the way of university education. Venice ruled over the city of Padua, and many of the children of European elites attended the university there. So did many children of Venetian citizenry. In the latter half of the Republic, citizens were either merchants or scholars. In the 18th and 19th centuries, we see republicanizing/liberalizing countries like Switzerland and the US trying to establish common schools for all children, though it is very difficult. I say republicanizing, liberalizing because liberalism is taking over as the dominant ideology at that time. In the 1830s, we find good old Thaddeus Stevens arguing in favor of allowing voters to fund common schools through local taxes. His arguments are along classical Republican principles of equality. You can learn more about that in my Thaddeus Stevens series. In my own state of Idaho, the Constitution of Idaho states, the stability of a Republican form of government depending mainly upon the intelligence of the people, it shall be the duty of the legislature of Idaho to establish and maintain a general, uniform, and thorough system of public, free, common schools. Tax-averse Idaho even has a stipulation in the bond levy laws that require a simple majority by voters for raising property taxes for school facilities, while all other government entities must achieve a supermajority, 2/3, to approve their facilities. To sum up, through theory and practice, we can see that education is important for citizens to be acculturated to civic mindedness and economic independence. The hope of education in classical Republican theory is that it will lead to citizens more effectively contributing to the common good. Long live the Republic!